Yeah. So just since you mentioned filibuster, let me say one big constitutional philosophical point. The founders were geniuses in devising a constitutional system that is skeptical of government and yet mindful of the fact that we need government. So just Civics 101, this is like 8th grade stuff, but that we don't do in Washington very well. You don't need government if people weren't sinners and selfish. We're broken, we're selfish, people want to take your life, your liberty and stuff, therefore you need your government. But because governors are also broken, you therefore need checks and balances. And so what the founders did, the Constitution is the greatest political document ever written. Political documents aren't the most important documents, but the Constitution is the greatest political document because it says government is not the author or source of your rights. You have your rights from God via nature pre-governmentally. Government is a shared project to secure those rights, but the main thing we have to do is make sure the government doesn't have too much power to run over all of your freedoms and all the spaces where liberty is lived. And so the First Amendment has religion, speech, press, assembly, protest. It's like a giant dog's breakfast just in the First Amendment. The whole purpose of the Constitution is to say, we want to make sure the government doesn't have too much power. So we divide power legislatively, executively, judicially. The private sector is more important than the public sector. The public sector that's local is more important than the public sector that's far away. Of the public sector that's far away, we should distinguish between these legislative, executive, and judicial functions. And in the legislature, we distinguish between the House and Senate, a more populist body that's supposed to go fast, and a Senate that's supposed to be the saucer that cools the boiling water of the passions of the House. And so I'm a big defender of the filibuster. But what the filibuster is supposed to do is bring people to the middle. I say this as a policy conservative. If you rank order my votes, I was like the 9th most conservative person in the Senate in the 8.5 years that I was there. So I'm a policy conservative. But everybody who sits in the Senate should be a dispositional and tonal moderate, meaning if you have a bell curve distribution of Americans' views, the angriest or loudest people at the right end or the left end, and I'm pretty far right, but right end or left end shouldn't get the majority of the representation. The majority of the representation should be for the big middle, the 60 plus or the 80 plus or the 90%. That's what the filibuster is supposed to do.